What's up, my friend? Chen Ho, your Realtor, Realty 1, Group Impact. Let's get back on track, chapter 23 of our video journal. Today, let's talk about change. Change is the only constant in the world. You always have changes. Changes in life, changes in cars, changes in the way we communicate, changes in job. You always have change. So right in the middle of this pandemic that is going on, how do you see change and how adaptable are you to changes coming through after this pandemic? For instance, when we get out of this, I foresee a few changes, like virtual. The word virtual right now is huge. I mean, everything becomes virtual. Like for instance, with me as a realtor, there's like virtual showings, virtual tours, virtual meetings, virtual presentations. Everything becomes virtual. After the whole pandemic is done, how likely is virtual going to stick around? I think it's very likely. I think that becomes a new norm. I think that becomes a new way of communicating, a new way of doing business, virtual. The next thing I think is remote, working remotely. A lot of us are in lockdown, a lot of us are quarantined at home, which at the same time, we are also working from home. That means a lot of remote workers around town, around the nation even, and potentially companies might just look at this as an opportunity, as a change, that once all this is over, they might just kind of look at the books and say, hey, maybe remote working is not as bad as we thought, and it might work. They may start consolidating plans, they may start consolidating offices and kind of invest in internet technology, invest in remote working technology, and just allow employees working from home and just kind of cut down on that overhead cost, which I think would be very substantial. And then, of course, the third thing that I think that will come true would be robots. I think there will be a lot more robots on like manufacturing line, distribution lines, things like that, just because humans can be taken out by bacteria, sickness, disease, and things like that, versus a robot that will be immune to all this, immune to anything biology, right? That said, if there's a lot more robots in the distribution, in the manufacturing, potentially we might be okay. We might not run out of medical supplies, we might not run out of masks, PPEs, things like that. Maybe. I'm not saying that we are, but maybe. So that said, manufacturing and distribution essentially will potentially just kind of look at more robots, looks at introducing more robots in their line, and could potentially harm some of us humans without having a job, right? So how adaptable are you to these changes? Are you embracing them? Are you like, bring the changes on, I will change? Or are you just like resisting the change and just kind of shun away, right? But the next thing I want to cover is the good part of change, a good part or the brighter side of this pandemic. I think the other thing once we get out of this is people will start to appreciate that physical bond a lot more. Right now with this pandemic going on, we can't touch each other. There's no embrace, there's no hugs, there's no handshakes. It's weird, and in some cultures it's like right. So that's it. I think once we get out of this, that becomes that human bond, that physical bond becomes very important, becomes very appreciative, and it just kind of makes us humankind a lot stronger together. So those are the changes I think that will be coming. And prepare yourself, educate yourself in things like that, make yourself irreplaceable by a robot. That would be a good word, I think. But most of all, change the way you think, change the way you communicate, change the way you receive education, and you might not, maybe then you might not just be changed out of a job, right? So let me know what changes you think are coming. Let me know also what steps you are doing to embrace that change, to actually invite that change to be an opportunity for you. Leave that down in the comment. I'll be more than happy to look at them. Maybe we can all work together to embrace that change and hope for a better world, right? For now, Realtor signing up.